I think we're live. Okay, good. Live producer. Are we live over here too? We're about to. All right, everybody. I believe we are live. Okay, we are live. According to my Facebook dashboard, we're live. How's it going, everyone? Welcome, welcome. My name is Jesse. You are on my Painting with Jesse painting page and drawing here on Facebook and on YouTube. I wanted to say hello, and hopefully you're all ready to have a good time drawing and painting these cute little lovebirds that you see over to my right. Before anything though, if somebody could give me a sound check, that would be fantastic. My screen looks frozen. I'm not sure why. Let's see. Something happened. There's like a pause. What is that? Okay. Looks like my screen is frozen, folks. I don't know if you guys are seeing the same thing, so let me try something here really quickly. Why is that frozen? Oh no, it's not frozen. It was my brain that was frozen. A sound check, somebody. Please let me know that you guys can hear me okay. Say, hey Jesse, I can hear you just fine. Before I go too far into my rant or my talk. Hold on 1 second while I get over to the main page on Painting with Jesse, just to make sure that everything looks good there too. Bear with me, bear with me. Do I see myself? Oh, there I am, but I'm frozen there too. There we go. All right, looking good. We have a few people on already. Fantastic. Look at the comments really quickly. What's happening, Sheila? Sheila says you're echoing. Okay, give me a second. I shouldn't be echoing, but. All right, there we go. Thank you for that, Sheila. So I like to jump on a little bit early. Fix that. Jump on a little bit early just to do some troubleshooting. I don't know how I use my phone. I use a camera and then I use a phone. The phone records this over here. That phone needs to be on mute. Otherwise, we'll get an echo. But I had already muted it earlier, so I'm not sure how it unmuted. I may have accidentally hit something on my dashboard on my streaming software. All right, so if you can hear me, if you can hear my echo, that means you can hear me. Sherry says, I can hear you, no problem, and you're not frozen. All right, that sounds good. What's happening, Pam from Tennessee? Hi, Debbie. Debbie Dooley, how are you? All right, everyone. So I'm on a little bit early. Again, usually I'm kind of scrambling to jump on, and I usually jump on just right before it's time to go live. Today I had a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit of extra time. So I'm glad I jumped on a little early to clear any issues up. So anyway, we'll get going here in a moment. I'll start talking about what's happening today. I'm sure all of you already know. And I'll repeat this, but in case some of you are looking for the stencil / traceable that some of you like to use when I make these, I have one for the little birds. In the link of the description of the video, you can click at the bottom. There's a link. You can click to that on that, and it'll take you to the email list. As soon as you sign up for the email list, even if you've already signed up before, if you sign up for the email list using that link, you get immediate access to the stencil as soon as you sign up. Now, if you're already on the email list, I emailed out the stencil to the entire email list on this past Wednesday evening. So make sure that you look at sometimes it goes to your spam, sometimes it goes to your promotions folder. They go all over the place. It just depends. A lot of times because it's coming from a business, it goes to a spam folder or a promotions file. Shirley says, I can hear you. Little echo though. I think that was from earlier. It sounds like everything's okay. What's happening, Angie? How are you? Lynn Pritchett, hi Lynn. Welcome back. I believe you've been on here before with me quite a few times, maybe. From Arizona, and then I saw Pam Thompson. How are you? Who else? Don't be shy, folks. Say hello. Also, let me know where you're joining from. I like to see where people are like to come on and hang out with me from. Sometimes we get people from all over the States, of course. Then we get people from Canada, Puerto Rico, England. We get people from Australia sometimes, and Ireland, Mexico. So lots of places, and I like to see where everybody's from. Debbie Van Dyne says, Thunder Bay, Ontario. Awesome, Debbie. Welcome. I don't know if it was you a couple of weeks ago, but somebody else was on here from the same place, Thunder Bay, Ontario. What's up, Pilar? Where'd you go? I lost your comment. Yanni from Puerto Rico. What's happening, Yanni? Let's East Tennessee says, and then I lost you, Pam. There you go. I'm in California, folks. For those of you that don't know, I'm out here in Southern California, about an hour and a half north of San Diego. Okay, 1 o'clock. Perfect. So here we go, everybody. Thank you for joining me today. It is the official start time, so let's do this. My name is Jesse. Don't know if you've painted with me before. I recognize quite a few of the names that are popping up, so I'm sure plenty of you have. If you're new here, welcome. If you've been here with me for past events, welcome. Today we're going to be drawing and painting. Cute pair of lovebirds that you see over to my, I think it's to my right on the screen. It's to my right here in person. So we're going to be drawing and painting these little guys. We're going to paint the background first. Okay. Now, if you already drawn your little birds in or stenciled them in, using the traceable, don't worry about it. You can paint around them. Okay. But we are first going to be painting the canvas with the background color. We'll talk about the supplies list and stuff here in just a moment. There is a stencil / traceable that I provided for this session that I've already sent out to the email list, to the Painting with Jesse email list. I sent it out Wednesday evening, this past Wednesday. If you don't have it yet, if you were on the list before Wednesday and I sent it out, you should have it in your spam file or your promotions file if it didn't show up in your main file. Now, don't worry if you weren't on the list yet, or if maybe for whatever reason you didn't receive it. In the description of this video, I linked the email list that you can sign up to. As soon as you sign up to it using the link that's in the description, you get immediate access to the stencil in the thank you page. So make sure you look for that. Okay? So again, if you don't have the stencil yet, now I'm going to be teaching you how to draw this from scratch. But if you want to use the stencil, click on that link in the description. It'll take you right over to that email list. As soon as you sign up, even if you've already signed up in the past, as soon as you sign up, you're going to get access to the stencil immediately afterwards. You can download it, you can print it, etc., etc., etc. Trish from Reno, Nevada, but from Louisiana. Awesome, Trish. What's happening, Missy? How are you? Judy Shepard. How are you? Charlotte and Grandma painting together from Alabama. Okay, fantastic. Welcome from Alabama to Charlotte and Grandma. Thank you, ladies, for joining us today. So now I kind of lost my train of thought. That's why I try to avoid looking at the comments. That's okay. So anyway, stencil in the comments, okay, if you don't have it already. I'm going to be teaching you how to draw this from scratch, as I've already mentioned. Okay, background goes in first, then we draw the piece. As far as the supplies today, I'm good at when we get to the drawing part of this, I'm going to be using a black, this is a pastel chalk pencil. I like using these because they're easy to erase. Okay. Once we got the background painted in, I like to use something that's easy to erase. You can also use a piece of chalk. You can use a watercolor pencil, and you can use a regular pencil. Okay. But we're going to be drawing that in after we do the background. Now, for those of you that want to change up your colors, feel free to use whatever colors you want. But me today, for my background, let's talk about that first. I'm going to use a little bit of purple. Okay, I'm going to be using this purple from Liquitex. It's called, let me put my glasses on so I can read this. It is called Deoxazine Purple. Okay, for my background, I'm going to mix with a little bit of medium magenta. Now, folks, don't stress out if you don't have these colors. As long as you got something similar, they're going to be fine. And then I'll be adding a little bit of white. Again, these are the colors that I'll be mixing for my background. Now, these are not the same colors that I used when I made the original painting. Okay, I'm standardizing things going forward. I'm going to be using my Liquitex basics on a regular basis. The reason I'm standardizing things a little bit is to help you guys that want to, those of you that want to get similar results to mine, you know what I'll be using on a regular basis. Okay, so These three colors will be going into the background. Okay. Now, the branch and the leaves. Okay. The branch, of course, is going to be a little bit of, there's going to be some, whoops, knocking over my microphone. Almost knocked it into my water cup. That would have been a little messy. So brown for my tree branch, a little bit mixed in with a little tiny bit of yellow. So this is burnt umber for my brown, and then my yellow is a cadmium yellow. But again, don't stress about having the exact colors. As long as you have something similar, you're going to be okay. The leaves, just a little bit of red and a little bit of pink. Naphthol crimson for my red, and medium magenta for my pink. But as I've already said, don't stress out about the colors. The bird, burnt umber, some white, a little bit of pink, and a little bit of black and white for my gray. I mixed the two colors. If you have gray, perfect. Then my bird over here, my little male bird, is going to be a little bit of blue. I'm actually using a combination of primary blue, black, and white to create the color in here. Okay, so primary blue mixed with gray basically is what I'm doing there. So pretty basic, nothing fancy. Use what you've got. What's happening? Marjorie, and then Terry from Texas. Cheryl Knight from British Columbia, Canada. Kamloops, British Columbia, Canada. Hi, Don. How are you? Okay, my canvas is an 11 by 14 inch canvas. Okay, you use whatever size you want. The stencil that I sent out to everyone, when you print it out on a regular sheet of paper, would fit just like this on a canvas this size. If you have a different size canvas, then you'd have to shrink it or enlarge it to change the size of it a little bit. As far as my brushes, before brushes, paper towels, very important. Very, very important. You have paper towels. I'm sure you guys have been painting for a little bit already know. If you're new, paper towels are very important. They come in handy. As far as the brushes today, some old brushes here. I got a 1 inch flat. I'm going to be using this for my background. Okay, big 1 inch flat brush. I've got a ½ inch flat in here. Where to go? Right here. Okay, ½ inch flat. Okay, and then I've got a few little small ones. I've got smaller ones. I've got it's reading a number 5 Filbert, which has got the little rounded edge. Don't worry if you don't have any one of these. Use what you've got. Okay, little number 5 Filbert. Actually, it looks more like an 8 or a 9, but that's what I got. Then I've got where to go? A little number 2 flat brush. This is going to be good for my detail work. Okay, and then a small liner brush, a little 0 liner. Okay, a little pointy brush is going to be good for these little sections here, like my branches. Okay, things of that nature. So just a few brushes, nothing crazy, nothing fancy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 brushes. Okay, again, use whatever you've got. All right, everyone, I'm going to change the size of my screen here so that it's easier for you guys to see what I'm doing. If you guys are ready to go, give me a heads up. Hold on a second. You don't want to see my big noggin in the way there. And then folks from my YouTube, real quickly, looking over at the YouTube comments. Kai, how's it going? My daughters and I can't wait. Fantastic, Kai. Welcome, Trish. Good. Trish says, I see you. Debbie Sanderson, how are you? 9 p.m. in England. Ooh, it's pretty late. Thank you for joining. All right, everybody. So there we go. If you guys are ready to go, give me some thumbs up, some hearts. Let me know that you guys are good to go, good to start. We're gonna paint in the background first, okay? So the background gets all painted in, and then we start to draw. We're gonna be creating today for about 1 hour and 40 minutes approximately. At any point, folks, you guys can you guys can pause the video, back it up, bring it back forward. You do have the ability to do that on these sessions. Pause, if you miss something, you can back it up all the way back to the beginning if you need to. Okay, the session is week, so I'll say next Sunday. Okay, so 8 days. Next Sunday, midnight, poof, it disappears. Okay, so please, if you don't get to do it right now today, make sure you come in and do it before the week. Otherwise, it's gonna be gone. All right. With that being said, let's do this. Let's talk about the background then. We're going to paint in that background first. As I've already mentioned, I've got a I'm using a little plastic, actually plexiglass palette. Pretty neat little thing here that I use to, to hold my paints. A little bit of purple. Okay, let's get some of that on the palette here. I'll show you my palette here in a moment. I'm going to use my big flat brush to mix everything. A little bit of pink. Okay, so here's what I'm doing. I'm going to start with these two colors first. I'll probably be needing more than that, but I'm going to start with this first. Then I'm going to add a bit of white to lighten things up, to brighten things up. Okay, so actually, let's see. I said I was going to use my 1-inch flat. I'm going to use my 1/2-inch flat brush to mix these guys. Some people like to use palette knives for this step. All good. Use whatever you have. Now, I mentioned that these colors that I'm using today are going to be they're not the same exact paints I used last time when I created this. So there's going to be a little bit of a variation, and that's okay. You guys, again, use whatever colors you want, whatever makes you happy. If you want to change your background, you can do so. A little bit of white paint now. And I'm going to take some of this like this and mix it in here. Lighten it up a little. Okay. I think I'm going to throw a tiny bit of blue into this just to make it a little bit more of a blue purple. And I'm going to use, for that, I'm going to use some ultramarine blue. Ultramarine blue already has a bit of purple in it. Has a purplish touch to it. So just going to take a little bit of that. And there we go. So these Liquitex paints, for those of you that may not be familiar with them, this is the Liquitex Basics brand. They have a really, really nice, rich color to them. Nice and bright. Really nice paint to work with, especially if you're kind of more at the beginning of your art journey, or you just started. Not too expensive, nothing crazy about them. Yeah, you can get a decent kit of these for about 20 bucks, 25, 26 bucks, something like that, for a whole lot of these guys. All right, here we go. Okay, so here's my mixture, big brush. I'm going to take my brush, I'm going to dip in my water cup. For those of you that may not know, water cup. I've got my brushes in there. My brush a little bit in there. Take that water, mix it in with my paint. Maybe a little bit more water. And here we go. Now I'm going to paint in different directions here. Short little brush strokes going in different directions. In between steps, everyone, I give you a little time to do your part. In other words, I'll come in, I'll do this. I'll take a moment, give you guys a little time to catch up. In the meantime, as I'm letting you guys catch up, I will be looking at the comments. I'll be saying hello. I'll be answering questions and things like that. Okay, don't stress out if you ask something and I don't see it. You'll know when I'm looking at my comments. You can always ask again. I have a large group painting today. We have a pretty decently large group. It's hard to see everybody's comments because they kind of fly by. Eventually, I'll have somebody helping me out with the comments and the questions and things like that, so that I don't have to keep looking back, back and forth. I'm taking a little bit more white now, just throwing in a bit more white into my mixture, just for a little variation. Maybe here towards the middle. So I'm not looking for a really nice and clean, uniform background. This is a little bit more random-ish, where I'm going in different directions. It's kind of what I did on the original. Sometimes a smooth background is a little nicer. Depends on the application. Depends on what it is that we're drawing, painting. Not drawing, painting today. All right. Just to blend things in, I'm going to go back over the same areas that I've already covered. And I'll, again, really quickly, not really quickly, but kind of quickly, I guess, just go through there. time things are. Okay, what I like to do, not always, but often, I will paint my edges. I'm using a canvas. I know some of you guys may be using canvas paper, not canvas paper, but yeah, canvas paper would work. Canvas board, mixed media pattern, wood board. Some of you like to paint on those little wood cutouts. So whatever you've got, if you got edges like I do here on this canvas, you can go ahead and paint in your edges. I'm painting on an easel, so I don't do the bottom edge until the very, very end. The very last thing I do is I paint the bottom edge. Otherwise, it will stick to my canvas. The paint will really adhere this to the easel. All right, there we go. Nice and pretty. This is a little bit more of a purple, as you guys can tell. All right. You guys got about a minute, maybe a minute and a half before we move on to that next step, okay? So now's the time. If you guys have any questions or comments, please put them down below. What's happening, Tabitha? Rachel? What's happening, Michael? Michael says, first time watching a live painting class. It brings back memories of painting classes and tutors I had years or decades ago, mixing and blending colors. Awesome, Michael. Glad you're here. Maybe you'll come back. Jerry Palmer from Maryland. How are you, Jerry? Welcome. Hey, Rachel, one of my members from my art group here on Facebook says, hi, Jesse. Hi, everyone. Just watching for a short while tonight. I have a very early start tomorrow. Sounds good, Rachel. I have a few other members in here also hanging out. So Missy Taylor, how are you? And then let's see, Tabitha and Tina. I saw a few others. Hi, Chloe. Let's see, where do we go here? Hang on a second. Let me go back up. Pilar says, please say hi to little Chloe from Nana. Hi, little Chloe. Nana says hi. All right, everyone, about 30 seconds and we move on. I'm going to take a blow dryer in a second. If you guys don't have one, don't stress out too much. But you want to, before we draw, you want your background to dry, right? And most of you are probably working with colored paint. It dries fairly quickly, but in order to speed up that process, I'm going to use a blow dryer here in a second. Probably most of you have a blow dryer or are familiar with the process of using a blow dryer. We'll use that in a second. Coffee here from McDonald's. Not the best. Let's see. Angie says, "Is that blue mixed there or pale?" Sorry, Angie. Can you clarify your question? I'm not quite sure what you're asking. Christina, how are you? Christina Russell. All right, everybody. Here we go. So blow dryer. Before I draw. I need to start hanging my blow dryer if I don't want to put it on my table. Before I draw anything, I'm going to go ahead and dry my background, okay? I'm just taking a basic blow dryer here. Get it nice and hot. What's happening, Julene? How are you? Julene Pacheco. Julene Pacheco Machado, how are you? Good, Missy. Brenda Trumbull, how's it going? Hi, Brenda. Okay, so my background is nice and dry. I didn't touch up my edges. Oops, and I got a little bit of white paint over in the corner. So let me take that off. Gives you guys a little time to catch up if you're not quite here. And again, folks, don't worry too much. If you are behind or what have you, Don't stress out. If you're having a hard time keeping up at any point, don't stress out. This isn't any kind of competition. Everybody paints at a different pace. So if you pause, if you step away for a little bit, no worries. Again, this will be available for a week. You can come back. If you start right now and you don't get a chance to finish, you can come on back and paint with it later. Okay? All right, there we go. I just cleaned up my mess. I got my background nice and clean. What I was trying to do, and the reason why I dropped it is I was trying not to avoid touching the edges. There you go. There's a nice view of the brightness on my lamp back here, my light. Okay, so brushstrokes, even looking background and for a second, and maybe in third. Okay, for our purpose today, for one, we're not going that far. Brenda, if you didn't get a tracer, okay, I mentioned it at the beginning of the email, the session, and this goes for anyone that maybe you're on the email list to get your tracer. Sometimes those emails go to the promotions file, or the spam file. I've run into that many times. Somebody will tell me they didn't get it, and when I go to the email service that I use will tell me if an email address received a stencil, it's showing it's been received, but it hasn't been opened. Okay, so there's that. If you check those files, but if you still need it, you can always link to it in the description of the video. This video, there's a link to it where you can actually download it direct to the link. All right, everybody. So let's take a look at our little bird. I'm going to turn it towards me just a bit. Little roundish, just kind of chubby little birds. They look like they've had a little bit to eat, nice and happy. What we're going to start with is this big bird over to the left. Okay, and they sit in the middle of the canvas, right about down, is right about where they maybe slightly to the right a little bit more. Not super important. It doesn't matter if you're really far over to the right or not really far over to the right. If you're a little over to the right or a little to the left, but just as a kind of a point of reference, they sit almost at about the center of the canvas. Okay, so I'm going to start. So let's do this. Right about in here is where the body of this little bird is. So I'm going to start with this kind of a rounded part for my bird on the left, and I'm just basically going to draw, sketch a roundish shape. If you have your stencil or your tracer and you haven't put it in yet, now's the time to go ahead and do that. Okay, you want to go ahead and trace your birds. So here's the main body of this little guy here. Okay, nothing fancy here. We don't worry about the wing just yet. We're going to come up to the head next. And the head obviously is smaller. Actually, I think I can make this body larger. We're not looking for perfect, folks. Don't worry about trying to get an exact replica of my painting. Do your best. Okay, do your best. Do your best. Okay, now for the top, we start right over here with this part of the head. We're going to worry about the beak. We're going to come right over the top, right? It kind of sneaks out a little bit here on the forehead part. So we come up. Notice how I'm using my pencil nice and loose, nothing fancy. Lots of lines here. I'm not looking for perfect. We're going to have to do some adjustment here in a little bit. Okay. This part of the head is nice and round. Okay, I'm going to tuck it back there. Again, we're not worried about the beak here at the moment. Now, I think my head's a little too far over to the right, so I'm going to bring it back over to the left a little bit. Here's what I like about chalk pencils. Put a little bit of water here on my paper towel, and then lightly I can come in here, really lightly, and erase. Okay? And I say lightly because I don't want to press too hard. I'll start, depending on the type of paint that you're using, you might erase your background. Okay? So we're going to leave that alone for a moment. I'll let that dry a bit, and we'll come back to it. Okay. While that dries, I'm going to come in here, my wing over here. Right about over here somewhere, sticks out just a bit this way. And then it swings back. It comes in. Okay. Again, folks, nice and easy, nothing fancy, nothing crazy. All right, I'm going to give you guys about 30 seconds before we go on to that next step. Lou says the audio is ready to go. Anybody else having that issue? Does anybody else have any audio problems? Remember, folks, from time to time, you may have some glitches happening on your end. If it's not happening over here, and sometimes it is, starts on my end. But sometimes if you exit the session and come back in, it clears up any video or audio problems that may pop up. Anya says, two little lovebirds. I just started my own painting journey. This is great. Fantastic, Anya. Welcome. Love to hear when people start painting or drawing, when they start whatever it is that you like, or whatever, when you start your journey. It's fantastic to hear. What's happening, Elisa? That's okay. No worries. You know how it works. Just take your time. But all right. So I'm just going to go ahead and adjust. I want to bring the bird's little head back a little. Just a little bit, little tiny adjustment. Again, I'm not trying to reproduce the original exactly the same. Okay, there we go. I just moved it back a bit. Now, I could, and I might, depending on what the time looks like and things like that. As I mentioned, we're going to be creating today for about an hour and 40 minutes, hour and 45 minutes approximately. I may come back and do another layer of paint in the background. Okay, we will see. I'm just gonna. My background's a little on the light side. It'll still work, but I may want to touch it up by adding another layer of paint over everything. All right. So before we add the little details to this bird, we're going to come over to the other bird and create just the general shapes. Okay. We don't get too far into details on anything when we're drawing before we have everything blocked out. The reason why we do that is if we get too into the details on in this case, let's say we get caught up on this one bird. When we go to do the other bird, maybe we all of a sudden realize that this bird is too big or it's not in the right spot, etc. Now we have to go back and make lots of corrections. So before we do that, we go ahead and just lock in the main shapes for little birdies here. All right, other bird, similar shape, maybe a little bit smaller. For me, this is the female bird on the right. For you, of course, you can change it up however you want. Colors, shapes, sizes, all that good stuff. There we go. Nice little round body again. And then this. We want a little bit of a separation between their heads, right? Their little beaks are kind of close to each other. I mean, you can make yours touch if you want. But in my case, I'm going to have a little bit of a separation. I'm going to go right up here at the head, real similar shape to the other bird. This one has a little bit of little cheeks stick out a little bit more. So I'm going to go ahead and add that now. Cute little chubby cheeks. Okay. And then put in the wing. I'm going to get started here. Goes down like this. Remember, folks, this is being recorded. Okay. Nothing fancy. I'm actually going to bring this part. I'm going to bring it out a little bit more. Okay. Audio crackles every once in a while. Anyone else? Anyone else, folks, with audio? Hi, Erica. First timer from Maryland. Okay. I'm going to do something here. I'm going to switch my mic. Bear with me a second. And then I just switched out my mic. Give me a moment. I'm going to do a quick test, audio test here. Okay. Things are looking good here. Okay, I switched out my mic just in case that was causing any kind of issue. And then somebody says that I keep freezing. Same here with audio. Angie, a few people saying yes. Okay. Did that fix it? Let me know if that fixed it with the audio. I switched, like I said, I switched phone. All right, testing, 1, 2, testing, 1, 2. I'm just talking a bit to see if the audio issues went away. I'll use the moment to take a little drink of my coffee. Dolores says everything is fine here. Okay. Lou says not really. Not really what? Not really with audio, still the same? Okay, I'm going to go and continue, folks. If the problems persist, I don't know if there's much I can do at the moment. It could be Facebook just being a little glitchy. Okay. Audio is good, says Lynn. Okay, all right, folks, we'll continue. See what happens. Hopefully, audio is still the same. Audio is good. So I'm getting some people saying the audio is good. Some people say the audio still breaks up. Okay, all right. I'm going to continue, folks. Again, try exiting and going back in if you're having this. Okay. All right, here we go. Little wing over here on this side. So little wing on the left. I'll try to speak very clearly in case we're having some issues. Okay, so little wing here kind of does this. Audio is okay here, says Anita. Crackles a bit, but I can still understand what you're saying. Audio is still breaking up. So weird, everybody. I apologize. I don't know what's happening. Okay, let's continue. Right over here. Little bird's chest. Just jump over to this bird. Just kind of quickly come in and do this. Hopefully, whatever issues are happening, clear up. Okay, like that. Okay. The face. Okay. We can go with the little beak now. Just a little pointy thing. Little triangle. Okay. So eye. And then I'm going to go check something quick while you guys catch up. Okay. I'm going to mute my side of things. Give me a second. I'll be right back. Chance to catch up. Okay, everything's good on my end, folks. Hopefully it continues. I mean, it gets better for everybody that's having some issues. All right, here we go. So I just went over to make sure that everything was looking good on my internet and everything looks pretty normal. So it doesn't seem to be any problems on my end, but as you guys know, that's kind of one of those things. It can look good and still be problematic. Other little beak over here on this side. Okay, let me see, just making sure I'm still good over on my Facebook. Shirley says, no, it's still freezing. Okay, guys, again, what's going on? Could be a Facebook, could be a Facebook problem. I don't know. Okay, so other little bird over here. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna just erase this a little bit, and then I'm gonna bring it up a little bit high, a little closer to the left. Okay, so just like that. And then of course the little white area here. I'm actually gonna bring this down a little bit also. Drawing is about making little adjustments as you go. A lot of times people want to have a perfect every single time they put their pencil onto the canvas. They want to create something perfect every time. And it's pretty unrealistic. Basically, what you want to do when you're drawing, same as when you're painting, you're constantly putting stuff down, and then you take a little step back, you look at it, you make adjustments. As you move along, you make little adjustments, but you want to definitely keep assessing, keep assessing as you go. Hi, Sue. How's it going? All right. His little face right over here, the little white part on the face kind of comes up, goes back like this. Okay. Little eyeball. Now, there's a couple little details on the eyes on the originals. They have the little eyelashes. We'll add those with the paint later. We don't have to draw those in at the moment. And then here's a little close to what I've got. Again, nothing fancy. A few little shapes. You start with the big parts first, and slowly you add in some of the smaller elements and refine things. Okay, that's our process. Now I notice these two little guys over here are a little lower than on the original. If I want to adjust that and bring this up a little bit, I can, but I'm okay with this. We're going to add in now is the big branch. They're both sitting on. Just going to run across like this. Comes up. Okay, and then again on this side. It's wider at the left over here, and then it tapers in and gets skinnier as you move over to the right side. Now, if you want to add in some of these branches, like this one here, you can go ahead and do that. Okay, I'm debating whether I'm going to do a second layer on my background in a little bit. Once we get some of the paint on birds in place, I would, if I decide that I want to do a second layer of paint, I don't want to have any of my branches in place because then I would have to paint around them. I could be a little bit more difficult, more time consuming. So before I add any of those branches, I'm going to go ahead and put paint down on my birds first and on the big branch. Okay, and then I'll decide, depending on the time that we've got left, whether I'm going to do that second layer. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense to you. Now, if you're happy with the way your background looks now, you can go ahead and draw in some of those branches, and then you're going to be painting over those in a little bit. Okay, but all right, everybody, in just a moment, we are going to go ahead and start to paint. Now, I can start with either bird. I'm going to go ahead and start with the little brown bird. Okay, actually, I'm going to start with both birds. I'm going to put in some white on their chests and on their little face area that's white. All it is a little bit of white. So I'm using my white paint here from my titanium white. I'm just going to put it right down on my palette, just like that. I'm going to grab my number 5 Filbert. Again, this is a bit large for a number 5 Filbert. It's more like an 8, but that's okay. It doesn't really make too much of a difference. just in case some of you guys are going, wait a minute, it's way bigger than my number 5. Then I'm grabbing the paint nice and thick like this, and I'm coming right in here. And like this. It comes over like that. It's okay if your birds are off center, Angie. No problem. They don't have to be perfectly in the middle. Okay, so a little white up here on the facial markings. Now, if you see me, whenever I paint, if I leave my lines like this, in other words, I didn't bring my white all the way down, that's on purpose in this case because as I'm looking across, again, as you're creating, you're analyzing what you're doing, right? Periodically checking if you're using a reference image like I am in the original painting, I'll look back and forth between the two, and my eyes will pick up where there's some differences. So in this case, this white part doesn't go as low on this one as it does over here as I created the line for here on the other one, on the new ones. So I'm just making a little adjustment. I'm not going to paint white all the way down. Okay, so now here we go. A little bit of white on this little guy. And nice and thick paint. What's happening, Terry? Hello, hello. All right. Now up here, facial markings. All right. Since we're working with white, I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit of my black. I've got some Mars black here. Whatever black you have is fine. We don't need a lot of it. So I'm just putting a little bit on my palette. And I'm going to take some of my white here. I'm going to bring it in. I'm going to take a black. A rough blend so that I have different values in there. It's not all one color. Now what I'm going to do is right in here, and I'm still using my Filbert brush. I'm using the skinny part of my brush, and I'm just going like this, making little streaks. Okay. And then I'm also going to grab a bit more white now. And I just come like this. Actually, I'm just going to grab some white and I'm going to come right in here. Let it blend in and create some lighter. Keep my paint nice and thick. Still a bit more white. What this does is it creates some sections that are more gray or more white, and it varies just a bit. And I'll bring some of this over to the other side. Hi, Yolanda. Awesome. Glad to hear. Thank you for joining today. And then what I do is I look around really quickly and go, do I have any colors? I have a bit of gray that I bring up in here. There's also touches of brown in here. And then there's a little bit of gray here and down here. So I'm just going to go ahead and add those since I'm working with the gray. Just a bit, maybe in here. Fun way to spend a little Saturday afternoon, morning, evening. I don't think it'd be morning where you guys where any of you may be. For all of you, it's probably afternoon, evening, actually maybe morning. The next morning, I think Australia is far enough ahead. It might be morning right now. I'm trying to remember. Okay, so just a little bit here and there with the gray. Now, I'm going to take a bit of my red. Remember, I have some red and some pink. I'm actually just going to do pink at this point, not red. So I'm going to take a little bit of this. I'm going to go like this. So right over here, close to my purple. I'm going to go. I'll take a little bit of that pink. I still have the gray and white in my brush. Okay, I'm going to do this right over to the side. Let all those colors mix. Maybe a bit more pink, a little bit more white. And folks, if you happen to fall behind, don't stress out. You can back the video up at any moment. Take some of this and kind of a similar tactic. Blend in, mix a little. Okay, I got some over here too. Sometimes I add a little bit more white, sometimes a little bit more gray. So all I'm just doing is this. If I want a little bit more of a lighter pink, I just mix some of that over there. Grab the white, mix them together. Okay, and here we go. Okay. So this one's crimson. So which one? The in this case, the pink that I'm using is a medium magenta. Okay. The red that I'll be using is crimson. It's Neanderthal, Neanderthal crimson. Neanderthal. Yeah, no worries. It will. It'll be up through. It'll be up through next Sunday. Okay. Again, folks, this recording will be up through next Sunday. So whenever you're ready to come complete this, you'll find it by going up. You can go to the event. Go to the event tab at the top of the page. Click on that. It'll take you to all the events on the Painting with Jesse page. You'll see this at the top. You'll go to that, and the video will be there. You can also find the video by clicking on the live tab at the top of the Painting with Jesse page. Okay, so there you go. All right, we're done with our pinks for the. We got some good pinks in all the areas that we want pink other than the leaves. I'm going to go ahead and take some brown now. In my case, I am using my burnt umber. This guy right here, nice deep, rich brown. And take a little bit of this and I'll put it right up here. Again, everyone, no worries. Everyone paints at a different pace, so don't stress out if you happen to be falling behind, or some of you are going to be speed painters, and that's all right. Okay, a little bit of brown. I'm going to take this. I'm going to take a little bit of my white, just like that, a little bit. Clean my brush a bit. I clean my brush. I dipped in my water. Used a paper towel to remove the excess paint. So there's none of this paint from down here in my brush at the moment. I'm using the same brush. I'm in here and I'm just going to. What's nice about these Filbert brushes, they have the rounded head and it makes it easier, these rounded edges. Okay, now I'm going to come over to this side. Heidi, thank you so much. Thank you for the kind words. Yes, she's most definitely better. We're coming up on a year. February 28th will be the year from the date she had her diagnosis. For those of you who may not know, really quickly, folks, my wife had a meningioma. It's basically a brain tumor. It's taken out. It's gone. Everything's good. It was what is it called? Benign. Benign meaning it's non-cancerous. They were able to get it all out last year in March when they did the surgery. It's been a nice long recovery, and she's almost 100%. She has some minor vision issues in one eye, but considering how big the thing was in her head, she's much better. But anyway, Heidi, thank you so much. I'll be doing something this year. May is meningioma month, and I'm going to be doing something in May where something for charity for a meningioma church charity where we paint on the painting with Jesse Page. More details to come later, but anyway, just so you guys know that is something that's going to be happening here in May. We'll be painting. I'm going to take a little bit of yellow, folks. We'll be painting to raise money for research. Okay, so just so you guys are aware, a little bit of yellow right here. But anyway, thank you for coming on and painting, Heidi, and looks like you're new to painting. Fantastic. Everyone, folks, everyone should do some kind of creative activity as far as it is so good for the brain. I'm creating this really light brown. I'm going to take a little bit of white also. So I mixed yellow, brown, and white now just to create a nice light, kind of a gold brown. Whether it's, I don't know, working on furniture, watercolor, sculpture, acrylic painting, oil painting, drawing, it is so good for the brain. Everyone, just creating a little highlight right there, behind the cheek a little bit, maybe here in the front of the eye. This eye's gonna have to come down a little bit later. I need to make an adjustment on the eye. It's a little too high. I'll bring it down. I think I'll raise that one up a little bit. But good for the brain, good for the soul. Whether you feel like you're good at it or not, doesn't matter. It really does not. I think as human beings, we're all creative. It's our nature to create. Some people like to cook. Some people like to, create uh, uh, build fences, iron, work with wrought iron. Some people like to sew or create clothes, design clothing. We are creative people by nature, beings, creative beings. So that's my thing, to help people find that creativity within them, because it really does help. It really does help the brain. And again, you don't have to be a Van Gogh or Picasso. You do not. The vast majority of people that create don't get to that level, and most people don't care to. Most people, I think, create. So anyway, That's my thing, everyone, to help people find that. A little bit of primary blue. We're going to mix the colors now for our little male bird. Okay, I'm going to take some primary blue. Now, if you don't have primary blue, don't worry about it. Use what you got. And again, if you feel like changing your colors, I'm going to bring it over here by the purple. That's a little too much, not that much. Primary blue is a very strong color. Still using my Filbert brush. What I did is I just went ahead and dipped in my water cup to remove the brown paint. Then I did this. Okay, take my paper towel, clean that up. Here we go. A little bit of blue. Bring that right over here. Now I'm going to mix a little bit of black in here, just a touch. Again, everyone, the colors that I'm using today, the paint is different than when I did the original. I used a lot of craft paints on the original. Mixed a little too much black in here, but that's all right. Now I'm going to take some white. I want a nice, pretty, kind of a gray blue. Primary blue is a really pretty blue. When you add black to it, it creates a really nice kind of a gray blue. I added some white in here too, of course. That's kind of the color that I'm looking for. Here we go. Against that purple background, it actually becomes a little almost aqua blue. I'm going to bring this across. We're going to add some more color here in a bit, some white. But for now, I'm going to bring my wing up a little bit too, a little bit larger. Okay, now I'm going to take my same brush. I'm going to grab some white. Okay, now I'm going to go. You're still using the edge of my brush. Okay, right here. Right here, little light markings. I'm also going to come across. I'll give you guys a close up of my birds here in a second. So you guys can see what's going on up close. And then down here, a little more, no, actually, it's a good color. A little highlight over the top of our little bird's head here. All right, let me give you guys a close up. Here's what we got so far. Simple, nothing crazy. I'm gonna make an adjustment on eyes. That eye's too high. This eye's probably right. I'll fix the eye over there. Actually, continue. Let me make an adjustment there. I'm gonna go ahead and just paint using the brown. Paint right over that eye. So I'm gonna bring it down. Black will just cover this up, no problem. When I paint that eye in. Let's get a little more brown over here. All right. So let's take a look at the comments. Okay, Angie, no worries. Whenever you're ready to come on back, okay? Again, everyone, this is being recorded. You can get back and paint with it. The video will be available through next Sunday. Okay, so please make sure you don't forget. Come on back and finish it up. I'll get a chance to finish it today. Hi, Everett. Thank you. Anita says painting is relaxing and good for the soul and mind. I agree. Creativity, so much fun. Yes, 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 yes. Thank you, Shirley. Thank you. All right, everybody. So, where do we go next? I'm going to let this dry a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and work on my branch. Okay, my big able to move around blow dryer to blow dry any of this before we continue. I'm going to come down here, work on that branch, and then by that time, my birds will be dry, and I can go in there and start adding some more detail and more touches. Give your brown bird a fatter neck, a little bit. Yeah, my brown bird's got a little bit of a fatter neck, I think. It's all right. We're not looking for an exact match, just close enough. But yeah, I think my little brown bird has a thicker neck over here. Let's see. Awesome, Yolanda. Fantastic. Thank you so much. Ivy, oh, it's Bowles. Welcome back from San Diego, my neighbor to the south. Okay, here we go. Next step then. So let's go ahead and start working on the tree branch. So I'm going to take, again, I'm going back to my Filbert brush. It's getting a lot of use today. Very popular brush. Clean it up, swirl it around inside my water cup, and then take a paper towel, remove that excess paint. Now I'm going to take a little bit more of my brown, some more of my burnt umber. It's going to be a little combination of burnt umber and some yellow, a little bit of black perhaps. We'll start with brown and let's see, a little bit of brown. I'm going to bring this right here. Add a little bit of black to it, a little bit of Mars black, just a bit. Now, when I mix it, I leave it a bit swirly. In other words, I don't go through and mix everything into a perfect mixture of one even color. I just use the swirliness of the paint to kind of give me a bit of variation when I start to apply it to the canvas. This. I'm using the edge of my brush, the skinny part. And then we'll give the branch a little bit of variation. Not all perfect even. It's a tree. It's a tree branch, right? So liquid text paint is pretty smooth and flowy, so I don't always add lots of water to it. But it does help to do so from time to time. Actually, it usually makes it a little easier to work. A little bit gives you a little bit more coverage. When you don't add water to it, you have little pockets sometimes where some of the paint kind of doesn't adhere to the canvas. So just adding a bit of water here, to your mixture helps. Now I'm just taking some yellow. I just dipped the brush right into my yellow like this. Allows it to mix into my it's on the brush, and I just create little highlights. Okay. Now, as I mentioned earlier, let's see, what time do we have? It's 2:04. I will not have time to create another layer of paint on my background. So if there was more time, I would go through and add another layer to even things out a little bit. Smooth them out. Okay, my background over here, while I used brush strokes that went in different directions, it's a little smoother because I did this in a couple of layers. Second layer here, but again, I would go back through there and do a second layer, and I would paint around the birds in this case, just to get a more even, a little bit of a cleaner background. Because I'm not going to do a second layer, I'm going to go ahead and start adding in some of the branches. Okay, we're going to be painting for approximately another 40, maybe 50 minutes, about 40 minutes. Okay, so what's happening, Sue? I'm using an 11 by 14 inch. Okay, 11 by 14 inch canvas. Again, for those of you that are using the stencil or the tracer, when I created that tracer, when you print it out on a regular size of paper, the size of the birds fits like the original exactly. Okay, so just keep that in mind. You can always adjust it, of course, depending on the size of canvas you're using. So, okay, all right. Let's put in some branches before we go working on the birds here. I'm going to go ahead and add a few of these little branches in dark brown, almost black. And for this step, I'm actually going to use, where'd it go? I'm going to throw it in here. Oh, there it is, off to the side. My number 2, okay, this is a flat brush. It's more of a flat shader. Flat bright, I'm sorry, flat bright. A little tiny skinny thing. So a little bit of brown here. The same mixture that I used for the branch, I'm just going to make it a little darker. A lot of black in here. In this case, because I'm making skinny lines, it's very important that I use water. Water, in this case, is my best friend, because even though this is nice and flowy paint, I want it to, when I apply it to the canvas, I want a nice, smooth flow. And I'll do that by dipping my brush in my water, and then I bring some of that water over here. So what I do is this. I dip, bring a little bit of water over to my palette. So water in the brush, and I do this. Mix it in real nicely. Okay, and I'll feel it since I've been painting for a while, right? I go like this, I can feel it when it's really smooth. So I'll wait till I get to that kind of feel, that flow. There we go. We're almost there. One more time. And it might take several drops. Depends on how much paint you've mixed. Okay, and once we do that, we can go like this. I will start right over here. Actually, I'm going to start right here. So this small brush allows me to make really skinny lines, and sometimes skinny lines can be really tricky, especially for newer painters. It's about having the right brush and the right mixture and the right touch, a light touch. What's happening, Hannah? How are you? Sounds good. Definitely. Or you can just simply go over to the start of the video right now. You can actually back it up if you wanted to, okay? Then right over here, got this branch over here. I use my pinky here. I put it right on the canvas. It stabilizes my painting hand. I go like this. The branches tend to be a little thicker at the base. Okay, they come up. Okay, just like that. This one has a little offshoot that comes up this way. Okay, and then, so here's what I'm doing. When I want to make those real skinny lines, I'm taking I press against the plate, my palette, and I flip it. What that does is it makes my bristles stick together. And now I can do little tiny skinny lines. I'm trying to keep from blocking the camera. Really light touch. And I got those that pop up from the side over here. Okay, just like that. I'm going to leave this one out for now. And this one. We'll later. Just aesthetically, when I look at that, I'm like, not so sure about those. You got it, Sue. No problem. Okay, over here. Okay, right in here. Over here, my hand's free floating a bit off of the canvas. I'm not pinky to stabilize my hand. Remember, your branches are thicker at the base where they connect. Thank you, Christina. Thank you, thank you. Okay, now this one, this long one over here. Now I can start this one from the base, or I can start it from the top up here somewhere. I can start from here, work my way back. Doesn't really make too much of a difference. The main thing is that whatever you do, you're comfortable with the process, and that of course it gets, it's skinny at the top and opens up as it goes down to the bottom. Sounds good, Angie. Thank you for stopping in and painting with us for a little while. Have fun at your banquet. Because my birds are dry, I can put my finger right on the top of that using the canvas to stabilize my hand once again. I'm going to start right here and work my way down. Now I'll keep my line really skinny all the way down. Okay, I can do that. Now, as long as I like the position, I can go and make it larger. If I didn't like that, I can clean it up. I can actually go through and erase it. Erase it using paper towel, a little bit of water on the end of that. I can just lightly rub on that and it'll come off. As long as the paint is wet, it's a pretty simple thing to do because I would refine it, make it a little bit thicker, especially near the base. Again, remember, folks, water in this is your friend. You want to make sure you're using plenty of water, just not enough to make it runny, because runny paint could cause some problems. Okay, just like that. Nothing fancy, yeah, nothing fancy. No overthinking, folks. Enjoy the process. All right, these two little branch over here with the two little leaves, that's somewhere over here. Okay, this needs to be a little thicker, so Angie, you need something like a wet palette or other similar to save acrylic paint. Okay, you have to prep it and do stuff with it. You can use like it just depends on how long you're going to be gone for. But it's nothing anything that I can explain. I'd have to show you. But generally, you need a container of some type that's airtight. And you put the paint in there, and then you can save it. That's right. That's right, Luce. Runny. If you add too much water to your paint, it isn't your friend anymore. Water is only your friend if you use the right amount, for sure. Okay, so just going through and adding little branches here. So that's this little section up here, and then these little guys over on the left. A little more water. As you're working your paint will start to get thick again, right? Because it's drying. Climate that you're in, the temperature wherever you are, the paint will start to dry pretty quickly, and so you have to add water again from time to time. So long one over here. So this one's going to be right up in there. Water helps you create that nice flow that allows you to do that with a very light touch. You create your branches when you add the right amount of water. I'm just coming back over here and refining these. Okay. And since I'm here, I'm just going to grab some yellow. Okay, back to my yellow. Right over here on my palette. No, Angie, that's your paint's still going to dry. If you leave your paint alone, exposed to the air, it's going to dry. So just take a little bit of brown, touches of black. I'm just going to create some highlights. Let me throw my glasses on here. I'm starting to strain a bit with my eyes. Especially near the top of the branch, I'm just going to create these little highlights. Don't forget to share your paintings with me, folks. When you're all done, take pictures of them. If you're like painting in a group, or if you're painting by yourself and you want to take a selfie holding your painting, I love that. I like to share all the pictures that I get. I like to, maybe Wednesday of this coming week, Tuesday perhaps, if I've got enough of them by then, I'll create a post where I share the paintings that you guys sent me. Okay, so it's kind of neat to, everybody gets to see what other people make. It encourages others to share. Remember, everyone ends up creating something a little different. There's no problem with that. Some people get a little bit shy because maybe their piece looks really different. But if you look at all of them, anytime somebody paints with me and I share those pictures, when you look at all the differences, everybody creates their own unique painting. That's all I'm doing, folks, just adding some highlights. I'm going to take a little bit of white now. Just mix some white with the paint that's on my brush to create a really light, maybe here near the top. So yeah, don't be shy if you think maybe you didn't create something that looks really, really like mine. It's not the point. Everyone creates their own unique painting based on their abilities, based on their interpretation. It's almost like everybody has their own signature when they paint. Okay, so keeping that in mind, don't be shy about sharing your paintings. Send those over to me, and then I'll be sharing them in a large batch. Hopefully, a large batch, because a large batch means lots of you sent your pictures over to me. But it's fun to see other people's creation. Okay. Before we go back over to our birds, I'm going to go ahead and add the leaves in. There's red and pinkish leaves. You got me. My pleasure. What you can try, Angie, is if you take like a Ziploc bag, if you can put them inside a Ziploc bag, I would take a paper towel, wet it, put it inside the Ziploc bag with the paints. Okay, if you have the paints in a container, for example, something where the paper towels won't touch the paint, but that the humidity created by the wet paper towel and the closure of the Ziploc bag will maintain them fresh enough where maybe for 3 hours you'll be okay. All right, so you can try that. a little bit of red, and a little bit of pink. And maybe even a little bit of white. Let's see, smaller brush. I could use my Filbert still. Let's clean that up. Just swirling around my cup. Again, folks, if you're new to painting, if you're new to acrylic painting, in between steps, whatever brushes you've used, you want to keep them in your water so that they don't dry out on you. Otherwise, the acrylic paint drying right on your brush could ruin your brush. Okay, so keep that in mind. All right, a little bit of red and a little bit of pink, a little bit of white. So I got some red right here. Again, this is my crimson. I'm going to take this, bring it down here. Let's see. Let's find a spot near the other pink. Why not? A little bit of pink right here. A bit of white right there. All right. Here we go. Some little leaves. We'll start with the big one up on top. Okay, that's how I start my leaf. Needs a little more red. A little more red like that. Okay, let's see. Right here. Right over here. Okay, good. Sounds fantastic, Victoria. Yep, beautiful. So there you go, Angie. If you can put your paints inside of a Ziploc bag with a wet paper towel to help, you're kind of help keep everything wet. It'll keep for a little bit, but you got to have a nice tight seal on that bag, okay? Otherwise, if air gets in there, especially if you're dry or warm climate, that will definitely. Anyway, I could try that, see what happens. Then Tabitha says my tracer didn't work very well. It was hard to see pencil lines. Did my best to go over it on canvas. Hopefully, birds look okay. What color is your background? Is it purple? And I'm assuming you used like a number 2 pencil. I'm sure you did fine. I'm sure you'll be all right. Okay, just going through and adding all the leaves. We'll go back to them and refine and things like that. Right now, I'm just creating their shape. Again, all I'm doing is this, folks. Watch, let me give you a little close up. Now, this brush is getting too large for the smaller leaves, but I can still kind of, if I'm careful enough. Okay, so I'll grab a smaller brush for this one over here. But right here, maybe we'll go up, over. Okay, and we go like that. Okay, let me switch brushes here. I'm gonna have, so I'll even grab my number 2 flat for this, my little skinny brush. Yeah. Now, in this case, I'm using pretty thick paint. I'm gonna go like this. So here, okay, I just do the fancy. I could also use a round brush for this, like a round number 5, number 6. Okay. Okay, let's see. Some white, some red, And I'm just going to come through here and add maybe some darker values of this red in certain parts of my leaves just for a little variation. So here's what I'm doing. Just come over here and just parts of my leaves. You too, Angie. Okay, don't forget to share your ping with me, okay? Have a good time at your banquet. Here we go. Just going through and quickly adding some touches to these. I'll add some darker sections, and maybe I'll come back with a lighter pink. Still using my little number 2. Oops, that one got a little larger there. Let me. I just dip my water a little bit more. The water's way over to the side. I should have it over to the right of me. But I don't want to block the original painting there, and I might knock everything over with my canvas. So I could just put it in front of me. It's a little trickier when you're trying to do this for the camera. Okay. Okay, and I added some white in here to make a really light color. Now I'm going to take this and I'll do a few little spots like. All right. Hi, Fendi. So the recorded video will be available right here on the event page. If you're on the event page, you might be seeing it on the main page. On the main painting with Jesse page. If you go to the very top, it's easier when you do it on a computer. If you're trying it on your phone, it might be harder to find. But on a computer, laptop, etc., you just go to the top of the painting with Jesse page. At the very, you're going to see it's usually a drop down, but sometimes it'll be right at the top. It'll say live or videos. There's 2 of them, live and then videos. There's two different tabs. You click on either one of those, it'll take you right in order from most recent to last videos. So this will sit right at the very top. Okay, and again, the video will be available for a week. So come on back anytime during the week. You have till Sunday next week. So get in here and participate with it. You can also go to the event page here on the Painting with Jesse page. You'll see the event at the top. Same thing, you click on it, it'll take you where you find all the details, the supplies list, the link to the stencil, all that good stuff. Let's see, Shirley says, what is the best way we can seal our paintings? So you want to use a varnish. There's varnish sprays, there's varnish that you brush on, but a varnish, I like using varnish. You can also use things like, what is it, Mod Podge? But I stick to varnish, and they come in different finishes, glossy, different sheens, glossy, You have like the matte, you have everything in between. You have iridescent, but so you use a varnish. You want to wait till your painting is completely dry. You want to give it at least a day or two. The acrylic paint dries very fast, but you want to make sure that it's underneath, it's nice and dry. So a couple of days, and then I like to use the varnish that you brush on. Okay, I think I've done a tutorial here on the painting with Jesse page on varnish. I'll try and look for see if I still have that. I'll post if I did do it. I know I did one in my membership group, but I thought I did one in here also. Okay, I'm just taking a little bit of our pink. I need more white. We're headed back to the birds, everybody. Little details on as we finish up. Okay, so a little bit of white. Just going to grab some of this from here. Come right over here, mix it in. There's a little bit of water in here already, so I'm just going to go like this. But varnish, and it is definitely a good idea to protect your paintings. It protects them from mainly from the elements, right? From the sun, from if you like to put your paintings near a window, if you let's say you're displaying your paintings, sunlight will over time will dull your paintings, the brightness, the color. The sun will lose out over time. So you want to, dirt, dust, all those things will cause problems with your paintings. So you definitely want to protect them. If you create something that you like and you want to keep for a long time, then definitely protect those. There you go. Krylon clear spray works. There's different ways to do it, but you definitely want to invest a little bit of a sealer of some type. Just make sure it's safe. Whatever paint you're using, acrylic stuff for oil paints. There's stuff for just different types of paints out there. So a little bit of white depends on what you're using. You want to make sure that finishing spray, that sealer, is safe for your type of medium. Very important. All right, a little bit of white, just going through and touching up the white parts. Nice and thick. Ice cream man, right outside on my street. So what do you guys think? Folks, you guys having a good time? You guys enjoying this? I know I am. It's always fun to paint with you guys, to teach people how to paint, how to draw. It's just awesome fun. Lots of people who think they would never have been able to do this all of a sudden find that, hey, I'm not so bad. It always takes a little practice, everyone, a little practice, and also a little experiment, getting out and going for it. Lots of people are afraid to. I know there's lots of people that follow the page that do not paint. They'd like to, but they don't get in there and try it because they're afraid that they're gonna fail. And there's really no fail. Only thing I think the only way to really fail is if you don't go for it. That's what I'll say. Want to do something? Just do. Life is very short. All right. Oh, that's funny, Jackie. That's it. Because I'm having a good time, even if I've colored penguins on a branch instead. Awesome. I love that attitude. You definitely need to share those colored penguins with me, okay? You. Where'd Missy's comment go? I just lost it. I am. She says it's a cute painting. Good, me. Maggie says, I've been using Liquitex Gloss Varnish easy and it's turning out very nice. Liquitex Gloss Varnish is a very nice gloss, nice varnish to use. Very, very nice. All right, let's look at the eyes and the beaks and the details. And we will see where we are after that. I'm going to go to my number two, little small flat detail brush. Okay. You could use a round brush for this. You could use your choice of small brush. I'm going to take some black down here. Definitely going to dip my brush in my water a few times, bring that over. Small details. You want to be able to make your small details without a lot of fuss. If you add water to your paint, that's going to help you do that. Even if you've got really liquidy, flowy paint, and acrylic paint comes in all sorts of different types, a little bit of water helps quite a bit. Now, I mentioned I was going to bring down this eyeball a little bit. It's a little too high when I first drew it. So I want to bring it down here. I'm first going to do a little roundish shape. Okay, like that. It has a little 10 point here. I'll give you guys a close up in a moment. Little eyelashes. Here's what I did. And maybe this needs to be a little bit more. There we go. Here's a little eyeball. Okay, let's go over to our little blue guy over here. Kind of the same thing. So I better put it down. If I'm holding it, I'm going to mess it up. You guys ever watch that movie with Brad Pitt way back in the day, Fight Club? First rule of Fight Club. What was the first rule of Fight Club? You don't talk about Fight Club. I think it was what it was. Well, first rule of painting with Jesse is you have fun. That's the first rule. You just enjoy it. Worry about how next it's going to look and everything else. That's not necessary. But first rule of painting with Jesse is you just enjoy it. Okay? Relax is number two. And actually, those could be one and interchangeable. Just enjoy, relax, don't stress out. Whatever happens, happens. All right, little beak. Now, if you notice, like on the head of my bird, little parts you can still see. Yeah, it's because when I made adjustments as I was painting. Those will come off. I erase those later. Anything that's left over, I can erase those with the paper towel and some water later. Okay. A little beak over here. Okay, if you notice, I left little gaps like in there and there. I'll add more paint in those areas later. We're making little adjustments as we go. Okay, a little bit of black here. I'm going to grab some white. Let's see, still have some here. Mix it in just a bit. And then I'm going to take that and go, where was I? Right in here. Like little sections, those little dark details that you see on the neck. Here, here. On the wing. Okay, over here also. And there's definitely some differences between the two paintings. Okay, again, don't stress out. Everybody's going to have a little something different. I'm not trying to recreate the exact match, right, as I mentioned already, but could we really, really get something really close to the original if we make the effort we could? But again, it's not necessarily the intention. I want us to go through and create your own little version of all this. Again, I'm still working with that gray, adding some touches here and there. Some places it's a little more black, some places a little more gray, and I just still got our little feet, our little yeah, little feet to add. What time do we got? Oh, 2:41. Oh wow. All right, about another 15 minutes, folks. Nothing too crazy left to do. Time flies when you're having fun. A little bit of white now. I'm gonna take a little white and just turn it a little light, little like a light gray. The little bird over here has a that red, and then over here. Okay, I'm gonna start a little high in gray, but it's gonna be white, and then here also. Okay. Here on top, still with my gray. The feet are coming, and I always, not always, but I often forget stuff. So thank you, Dolores. Absolutely, I would have, I would have, I remembered when I saw them over here. I'm like, oh, I still. Sounds good, Lisa. No worries, it'll be available tomorrow. Yeah, Debbie, the varnish is a. You want to wait till your painting is really dry, as I mentioned. But yeah, the varnish. If you don't use varnish, if you don't use some type of sealer, over time your paintings will get dull. Okay, so so just something to keep in mind. All right, where's my little liner brush? All the way over here since I hadn't used it yet. So before we do the little feet, I'm gonna take my little liner brush, little skinny guy. Take just white. Okay, and what I'm gonna do is this. I just dip it right into the paint. Little tiny highlight in the eyeball. Oops. Okay, there. And then over here. Little tiny highlights. Create a little sparkle in the eye. Wakes up your little bird. And then maybe like a little tiny bit over here too. Just a smidge. A touch. All right, where else? Maybe over here in the wings. Just adding a few little touches, highlights, a few little spots. Just using white at the moment in my liner brush. Okay. All right. Oh, one more spot I want to add. And then the feet. So the feet, I'm going to start with some black. Actually, a dark brown. So brown and black. Water, we're making small details. So dip that brush in your water a couple times and mix it in real nicely with your paint. Now this brush, I'm using a liner brush. It's a little too long. Okay, I can make it work. What I'm going to do is right here. We got three little feet, little toes. Okay, so I'll go 1, 2, 3, and then again 1, 2, 3. Okay, here's what we got so far. Come over here and do the same thing. One, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. We make these a little darker. The more you paint, the better you get and the less stressful. That's right, Luce. That's exactly right. And I think I'd already read your comment. I think read it out loud, but you might be having a little brain glitch. Okay, a little bit of yellow now. Come down here. A little bit of brown. A little bit of white. Still working on the feet. A little more brown. Just creating a little highlight for the feet, but I don't want it super light. I want it light, but not too light. Okay, water. Whoops, I was about to dip my brush in my coffee cup. It's okay. Acrylic paint is non-toxic. It would have been all right. Okay. Then maybe slightly over to the left. I'm going to come and I'll give you guys a close-up in a moment. On the left, over to the left here. On the left, over to the right. The highlight's going to sit right on top of the black, but a little bit. Okay, so the left foot was on the highlight was on the left, right foot, right facing me, right on the right side. Same thing with the other little bird. Here we go. Cute little dainty feet, nothing to it. Okay, it is 2:50, almost 2 hours worth of painting. I'm going to take my paper towel again. Now, I'm not going to go and do this everywhere just yet. I just want to demonstrate this. Areas that think are dry. I don't want to smear any wet paint. I mentioned earlier that these little sections that have like the lines, right? My original drawing lines, I want to go through them and clean those up. Before I do the entire painting, I would let this dry completely. But I just want to demonstrate for those of you that may be dealing with these. You take a paper towel, a little bit of water. Take a paper towel like this, for example. You dip it in some water. If your water is oversaturated, your rinse water is oversaturated with the paint, maybe get some clean water, and then you'd come in and just lightly, or you can use a pencil eraser to take this off. This works also. Okay? And again, all I'm doing is just lightly going through and erasing. You know, be careful. I don't want to run over any paint that's still wet or smear it. But so I would do this to the entire painting in any areas that I've got some of those lines. So just like that, I just clean that up. Okay. I have some right there. Let's see. I need to find a spot that is dry. I don't have too many, but here there's a little bit on top. And then lightly rub over the top of that. And I want to keep turning my paper to the clean area, right? So it's saturated with a little bit of paint. Wiping that down, or if it's saturated with the chalk, turn it to the clean area. So I don't smear that chalk around, because I could smear that too. Let's see, where's another spot? Oh, right here on my branch. See that? You can see a little bit of that. Right over the top of that. Real light touch. Until it slowly just disappears. Okay, so again, I would do this everywhere throughout my painting. I have a little bit there. I would do that there too. But again, you want to wait till everything is really dry, and you know for sure you're not going to accidentally smear paint. Because sometimes I'll get a little bit, kind of patient. I'm like, oh, it's all dry. And I'll start to, and all of a sudden I realize there's a little spot of wet paint, and when I run across it, there goes the paint into my background. Okay, so make sure your paint is nice. Your painting is nice and dry. But anyway, everybody, there we are. My paintings aren't signed. I'll sign them. Oh, real quickly. So what I like to do, even though I think this is, I mean, there's some little touches that I can come back and do. I already know there's some minor things that you don't want to touch up. But even if I thought I'm pretty much done here, it looks like everything's in place, I wouldn't call it done. I would walk away, leave it alone for a few hours, maybe a day. I'd come back, look at it again with fresh eyes. I'll very quickly pick up things that are a little bit off. You know, I come over and go, oh, my proportions are a little off here or there, and I can fix it, right? Or maybe my colors are a little off, or I forgot something. But that fresh view is humongous. It's a really big, can really make a big difference in your final results. So again, if you feel like you're done with your painting, that's fine. But I would recommend leaving it alone for a couple of hours at least. Come back and look at it again. And then once you look at it, if everything still looks good, fantastic. Then you call it done. If you're going to be using a sealer or whatever to protect it, wait a day or two, depending on your environment, and then seal it. Okay. Alice says my male bird looks a little bit like Alfred Hitchcock, but I had a lot for him. So funny, Alice. All right. I need to see that, Alice. So make sure you send me a picture. Everybody, when you take a picture of your painting, please share it with me on the painting with Jesse. You just send it right over to me, and then I will post that with the batch of paintings that I have by Tuesday or Wednesday later in the week. Okay, so but anyway, everybody, hope you had a good time. I did, as usual. Make sure you guys stick around, follow the page if you're new to the page. I do these free events that are open to everyone at least once a month. I did. Sometimes I'll do little workshops in here. We did something on how to use a stencil or transfer an image from a render photo over to a canvas. So if you're new to the page, make sure you follow. Also, I do have an email list. It's linked in the description of the video. It goes to the Painting with Jesse page. Make sure you get on it. Send free stuff. Time I'm going to do it. This one, I send the PDF download pencil to the email list. Have that available. I also have a newsletter that I'm trying to send out every month. That's new. It started last month, so I'll be sending it out soon. And just little things like that. You guys want to stay up to date with everything. Whenever I have an event like this, I send everybody an email letting them know about it. So make sure you jump on it. Hi, Marjorie. Hi again. I saw you earlier. So you got it. Thank you for joining. Sherry, thank you so much. Also, we got a few of the members out today. Pilar, thank you. You got it. My pleasure. All right, everybody. Debbie, you're welcome. All right, Jackie. See you later. But okay, everyone. Thank you once again, and hope you have an amazing rest of your weekend. Okay, I'll talk to you guys all very soon. Bye bye. Oh, I see the YouTube really quickly, folks, before I log off completely. Diane says, "How are you and the family?" Very good, Diane. Thank you. Hope you're well. Debbie Sanderson, 10 p.m. here in the UK. I think I read that comment already. I think. But all right, everyone. Just missed a couple of comments on my YouTube. All right. Bye bye. For reals now. Bye.